In this episode, I'm going to show you the 10 things beginner wants to know how to do in Photoshop. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Ramelli. I am a French photographer from the beautiful city of Paris, France. And I make 1 to 2 tutorials per week. Alright, click here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to like this video if you do like it. Alright, this week I want to talk to you about the 10 things beginner usually wants to know when they start Photoshop. I got lots of emails over the last years asking me this and that, so I decided to do a full video on this. Now you will find all the source files on the link below this video so you can follow along. Mesdames et messieurs, here is the 10 things beginner wants to know how to do in Photoshop CC 2017. Alright, mesdames et messieurs, so 10 things that people want to know using Photoshop CC. So that is Photoshop CC. Just open. What you can see here is the latest files I open using the software, but I'm not going to click on open and open something there. We're going to be using Bridge. Now Bridge is a software that comes with Photoshop, and it's kind of like an explorer. I'll show you how it works. I'm going to go to the Finder, and I'm going to go to the folder called 10 things. That folder I'm going to give you as part of the source file of this video. So I'm going to take that folder and I'm going to drag and drop it over Bridge. Okay, now I'm in Bridge. All the files we're going to be working with. Okay, the first thing that a lot of people want to know how to do with Photoshop is to remove blemishes or spots on the face. So I'm going to take Steven, my nephew, I'm going to double click on it, and here he is in Photoshop. If you don't see this kind of user interface, you can go here upright and choose a workflow. You got different workflow, essentials, photography. For this tutorial, we can use photography or essentials. I'm going to keep on using essentials. If you see something like this, like if the panels are closed, what we need for this tutorial is going to be the layer. You can click here and it's going to make the layer appear. Now, there's many ways to do things in Photoshop, so everybody's got their own way. If you got a better way than what I'm doing now, that's totally fine. Also, if you have some basics with Photoshop, this might bore you a little bit. But, you know, if you're new to Photoshop, stay along and I'll show you a couple of cool things. So I want to take my nephew face and remove some of the acne that he has and blemishes. So I'm going to take the basic layer, I'm going to drag and drop it here, and that's going to make a copy, meaning that everything that I'm going to be doing is not going to be on the original layer, but on a copy. Okay? And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to go here in this tool, what we call it's the different tools to clean up skin or clean up, things you want to remove in a scene, and I'll show you many examples. So for this one, I'm just going to use the first tool here called the Spot Hitting Brush Tool, or the shortcut is J. And you have a little circle there, and any tool in Photoshop you can make big or small by holding the Control and Alt key on your keyboard, clicking on your mouse and going right or left, right or left. Okay, I want to make it about the size like this. And I can now click on the different blemishes, and it's going to do a great job. It's going to basically look, for the clean skin that's around it and replace that. So it's very fast. This is the same tool you would use to clean up if you have like a lot of sensor dust. If you've been shooting with a very strong f-stop and sensor that's not very clean, so you can have a lot of sensor dust. That's going to help. So I'm just, he was a teenager. He's a little older now. He doesn't have any spots anymore. But he used to have a lot of acne. Actually, I had a lot more than him when I was a kid. So, it takes a little bit of a while. I'm not going to bore you with this. But this is not... I have other tutorials on how to do, really better skin retouching. You can check one of the video that I'm going to put in a link called Frequency Separation, where I can really do a better job on smoothing the skin. That's not what I'm going to show you. I'm only going to show you how to remove blemishes and things which are not that we don't want. This is not like a fashion retouching. That's just like a really quick fix up. But that's something a lot of people want to know how to do. Okay, so you can see, because we're on its own layer, if I click on the eyes here, we can see the before and the after. Now, you see his skin here is not so good. I'll give you a little trick. So you can use the patch tool, and you can just, surround all this skin here, this sort of orange looking type of skin. and you have to find a skin that is cleaner. So usually what I do is I just lower a little bit the skin like this and drop it. And what that's going to do, see, it did something weird. It put the nose up here. But if you go to Edit, Fade Patch Selection, so this is going to be the fade. It's Shift Command F. Okay. If I go down to 0, what I did is completely gone. And if I go to 100, the move that I did is there completely. Usually I go like just at 10%, and you will see Command D to undo. It's just going to make this area a little cleaner. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take here, and I'm just going to make it go here, and then Edit, Fade Patch Selection, and I'm just going to put 10%. So it's only doing 10 or 20% of what I just did. Command D to undo. Okay. Let's do some more cleaning. So spotting brush tool, and voila. It's just, removing blemishes. You take a photo of a teenager. You can go on bigger spots too. And you see here there is a bit of a shadow. So you can use the same technique here. You can take the patch tool, take the different shadow here, and just drag and drop it a little bit below. And then Edit, Fade Patch Selection, and put like 20% or something. And Command D, and I'll look before, after. And now there is less shadow under his eyes. So I can do the same thing here. It's just a very quick fix-up. There is much more advanced way to retouch skin. There's so many ways to retouch skin. It's not even funny, but it's just a little quick fix. See, that's the before, and that's the after. It's still a good change. Let me zoom back. Before, after. So I was just trying to, do a little clean of his skin. Took, rough skin. All right. So that was the first thing, is removing blemishes. Now we're gonna do something else. Something really cool. I'm going to double click on this file called fltowelmix.tif, and I remember you have that. Now here we have 2 layers. Okay, this is 2 photos of 2 views. I went up to the Tour Montparnasse, a very high tower in Paris, and shot this beautiful view of Paris. And I actually shot it at completely random, meaning I did not intend to do what I'm about to do. So I took a shot like around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock was sunset. That's the night shot, that's the day shot. And I want to do something cool where I'm going to mix up the day with the night. So this is when we come into layers and masking. So layers, you understand, the top layer is the day photo, the bottom layer is the night photo. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click here on this little tool, which is called Add a Layer Mask. I'm going to add a layer. And the way the layer works is that white reveals, black conceals, okay? So this is purely white, and so everything is visible. However, if I could just make like a gradient of transparency between the first photo and the second photo, we could have a cool effect. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So for this, I'm going to, and actually, by the way, this is one of the most commented photo I had last year on Instagram. So that's why I wanted to show you this. So I'm going to go to the gradient tool, which is here, the gradient tool. Okay, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make sure I take the first one, which is, oh, actually I can take the second one, which is, you see, it's white to transparent. Okay, but I don't want white to transparent. I want black to transparent, because black is gonna hide a little bit. So I'm gonna press. You see here, white is my foreground color and black is my background color. I'm gonna press X, and now black is my foreground color. And if I click here now, the second gradient is from black to transparent. Okay, and now I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna make a gradient. So I'm just gonna click and hold my mouse and let go, and you see now we get a mixed up between day and night. And I think it's a pretty cool effect. Look at what the layer looks like. If you hold on the Alt key and you click on your layer, you can see what it looks like. It's a nice gradient from black, so it's going to be completely invisible. That layer, which is a day, is going to be invisible here, and it's going to be more and more invisible as we go down. And so it goes from night to day. And if you want to make it, you see here, I'd like the Eiffel Tower in this street to be like completely in the dark. So I can take a brush. I can press B for brush, and now remember, when you hold on the Alt and Control key, you make your brush big or small. But if you go up or down, you make your brush very precise or very feathered. I want a very feathered one, hardness at 0. or you can right click, change the size and the hardness. So you want usually your hardness to be around 0. I'm going to make a smaller brush. So remember, black conceals. I want to conceal this whole part. So black is here. This is the power of the brush. I want to make sure it's 100%. And I'm just going to brush here and erase completely the daylight photo from that street. And I want it to phase over only there. And that was the most clicked, the most Instagram visible photo that I had last year, that I had the most views and like and comments. I can press X and do the opposite. I can go white here and just, add completely daylight here if I wanted to. Okay. But I'm not sure it's nicer. So I can press Command Z if I don't like what I did. I like the idea that it's a gradient. But, I could also lower the opacity. So now my brush is not completely white, and just, brush out some of the things here and just make it like on a gradient so it's kind of cool looking. Something like that. Voila. So that's just a little introduction to masking and layers. Let's go back to Bridge, and I want to show you some more skin retouching. Not skin retouching, but face retouching. And that's a new option in Photoshop CC that's really cool. I'm going to double click on this photo. This is my friend Estrella. She's a beautiful actress from Los Angeles. I shot her on the studio last week. And I just want to show you a really cool feature. So I'm going to drag and drop here. I already retouched her skin, but there's a new option that I really like in the Liquify in Photoshop. So here it is. You go to Filter, and you go to Liquify. All right. And you see, when you take a face, automatically you get like a little lines around. It means that Photoshop detected that there's a face. If I go over the eyes, you can see we have like some little lines and some little points around the eyes, around the mouth, around the nose. This is so funny. Face aware Liquify. So you see now eyes, I got the left eyes and the right eyes. I can make the left eye smaller, bigger. I can make them both a little bit bigger, just a tiny bit. I would use the same value in both eyes to, I can make the eyes, the height of the eyes, I can change that. I don't necessarily want to do that, so I'm going to put it down to 0. Voila. 0, 0. I can change the width of the eyes, which I don't necessarily want. I can change even the tilt of the eyes. Check this out. That's crazy. Okay? The distance between the eyes. So I don't want anything like that. Now, that's a big one, the nose. I know girls like to have thin nose, so that you've got two things. You've got a nice nose height, or you got the width. So on her, I would just make her nose a little smaller. I think she'll like that, just a little tiny bit smaller. Okay, and then just look at this, the mouth, the smile. I can go here, I can add a smile, I can take down the smile. I think this is so cool. Maybe let's add a little bit of a smile, and I can do just one, and I can move the upper lip. I can make her upper lip even bigger. I don't think she needs that. Lower lip easier, I can make it bigger. So it's just really cool, okay? Shape of the face, the forehead. I can make it bigger or smaller. The chin height, I can make the chins bigger or smaller. I can make your chin a little longer like this, just a little bit. The jawline, I can make it a little smaller or bigger. Okay, let's make it a little smaller. You have to be very subtle, otherwise she's going to look like an alien. But that's a bit the idea. And the face width, I can make her whole face smaller or bigger. So let's make it a little tiny, -3, -5, -5 or something. And voila. You can see the before and the after. Not a huge deal, but just a few things that you can do, and it's so easy to do now. It used to take forever to do that in Photoshop, but in Photoshop CC now we have that new option. So I can show you the before and after. Okay, something completely different. If you want to turn a landscape or a photo into a painting, you have tons of filters in Photoshop. Let me show you this one that's really cool. It's called the oil painting. So you go to Filter, Stylize, Oil Painting. And like any filter, you got a little window here. And the two first slider is really what's going to make the difference between making a painting or not. And so stylization, for example, if I go the whole way and cleanliness the whole way, it's really going to look like an oil painting. Okay, wait for it, wait for it. Voila. You see, it looks like a little bit of an oil painting, and you know, scale. And you just have to, if you don't know what a slider do, you know, you just move left or right. I like to have stylization and cleanliness very strong to make it really look like a painting. And bridge tool details, if you go right, you can just play around and see what it does and what you like the most. But you know, that's the idea. I'm just going to click OK. And so that's a cool filter that has been for a while in Photoshop. So let's see. Oh, I forgot to put it on its own layer, but Command Z with undo before, after. Command Z undo. See, now it looks a bit like an oil painting. Just a little cool trick you can do with some of your photos. And you know, it's just another twist. It's another tool to have. There is ways to do it much better, and I'm going to show you a plugin that works really well in one of my future tutorials to make amazing painting. But that's really a quick fix that I really like. This is all about quick fix today. Okay, back to bridge. And now, mesdames et messieurs, we're going to look at how to remove things. So I'm going to double click on this beach photo. And I like that photo. I shot this in LA, but you know, there was this gentleman here. There's a little boy here. And there's a string here. So I want to remove things. So same thing, I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag and drop it to duplicate the layer. And now we're going to be using very similar tools that we did for the face earlier. So I'm going to take the spot hitting brush tool and I'm going to make it pretty big. And I'm going to click, hold on the shift key and just click one time at the beginning of the string and another time at the end. And it should take care of most of it, but you see, we still see a little line here. So let's do this first. Click here, hold on the shift key, and boom. So you see, it took out most of that, but we have a bit of a line. This is when you use the patch tool. Patch tool is really good. You just make a circle around the area of problem. You drag and drop it on a clean area, and boom, you got a nice gradient. You know, same thing here. Boom. Now the problem is that if I use the same tool here, the spotting brush tool, to erase this, it's going to make, well, it works pretty well. It actually did well. Let me show you something that could be an issue. Okay, if I use the same tool here, J, to erase this man, sometimes you're going to get a weird result. In this case, it's kind of okay, but you see the water is not exactly the same color. So what you can do, there is a historical tool that's there. It's S, the stem tool. That stem tool is really cool, because it was really the first tool that existed in Photoshop to remove elements. You hold on the Alt key, you click on the clean area, and then you move over the area you want to change, and you just click once or twice or whatever. Okay, now my stem tool does not have a good harshness. The hardness is all the way at 92%. So it makes weird circles. So I'm going to press Command Z to undo, but you see I got several ones. So I'm going to press Command Alt Z. With Command Alt Z, you can undo several times, okay? And now I'm going to right click and I'm going to make a hardness at 0. Very important. I'm going to hold down the Alt key here. And I'm going to just click here, and now I'm going to just paint. And you can just let go your mouse sometimes. And sometimes you get like a little pattern, so you have to go back over it. And you got to mix tools. Like I can use a spot hitting brush tool, for example, to erase some of the weird things which is here, or some of the patterns that are there, you know. But that's the general idea. Before, after. Okay, something weird here. So I can always go here, hold on Alt, and click here, and click here. And, you know, sometimes it goes fast, sometimes on. Let's use the stem tool again to clean up these two people here, and voila, oops. So if sometimes you have to click once, let go, click a second time, and let's go. Okay, now we got something weird here, so I'm going to go back, and voila. All right, now something. Let's see, before, after. It's actually a lot more clean now. And now let's say that I want to move this boy. There is a tool there, which is the Content Aware Move tool. It doesn't always work really well, but let's see. I'm going to make a selection around the boy, and I want to see if I can move him here to the other side of the sun. Let's see how that's going to work, and I press Enter. Boom. Hey, it did pretty good job. Then you usually Command D to undo. You usually have to go in there with like the stem tool, you zoom in and you have to make some corrections. It doesn't always work the first time. So stem tool, you know, I'm going to make it small. I'm just going to make some small corrections here, you know, around here. But, you know, it's really removing objects or moving objects is really a matter of using different tools. So check it out. Before, after we moved the boy and removed everything, a much cleaner image. I could not do a tutorial on the most requested Photoshop tricks without talking to you about sky replacement. I should have almost done this at first, but I wanted you to get a bit of the use of the software before. So I'm going to double click on this photo that I took a couple of weeks ago, actually in December, of the Death Valley. And let's do a little bit of cleanup first on the photo. Like this is it's a very overexposed photo, so the sky was not so nice at night and it's totally blown away. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to drag and drop it here as we did before to duplicate the layer so I can see what I'm doing. You see there was some kind of white rocks there, and there's a bit of steps and a bit of sensor dust that I want to clean up. So I'm going to use the spot hitting brush tool, and I'm going to take a big tool and I'm just going to brush over these rocks here. See what that does. And it's not going to be perfect, but remember, you always use this tool with the patch tool. And now I'm going to take this part, which is looking weird, and I'm going to put it on a clean sand like this. And now it's much cleaner, and if you want, you can do something like this. You know, yeah, that should be good enough. I bet nobody's going to see that. I'm going to take, there's a couple of sensor dust here, there's a couple of steps here that I want to erase really quick. So that's the before, that's the after. Or maybe while we are there, let's erase this one, this one. It's not that I don't like it, it's just I want to make this a little more of a pure photo, and I was really hoping, you know, you travel a lot and you want to get a good sky, and I was really disappointed by that sky. But Photoshop is a risk. I don't do this often, but it's so fun to do. So I'm going to go back to bridge. I'm going to take this guy, this one. And remember, you have the link for all the source files below this video on YouTube. Okay, now I'm going to use the move tool. I'm going to drag and drop that sky over here. You can hold on the shift key. It's going to align it perfectly. Okay. And now I'm going to press Z for zoom out to zoom out. I'm going to zoom out. Okay. I'm going to take back the move tool here. And I'm going to move this up, holding the shift key so that it fully aligns with my photo. And I'm going to move it up here. And the good thing about that sunset is that the sky is also here on the right, but it's just a much nicer sunset. Okay, I'm going to put it here. And voila, I'm done. Amazing, no? No. You know what? Then I'm going to duplicate that layer again. So now we have two of this. And I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to go Flip Vertical. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and you can, you know, just watch that video over and over, and I'm going to make that sky go here, completely align, and press enter. So now we've got two sky. You need to press Z and zoom in to make sure it's perfectly aligned. It is perfectly aligned. When you zoom out, sometimes you see a little white line, but it's an optical illusion because it's not there when you zoom in. Okay, and now, mesdames et messieurs, I'm going to use blend modes to make this, you know, a perfect sky replacement. So I'm going to go to the multiply mode. The way the multiply mode, I'm going to do that on both layers. The way the multiply mode is that anything which is white is going to become transparent. And remember, let me put this two layer into a group here that we're going to call sky replacement. Sky replacement. So you see the before and after. Before, you see there was a lot of whites there, and after. We can still see some of the original sky, and actually it's not really nice, but I'm going to correct that. But first, you know, it kind of looks weird. It doesn't look very natural because we can see all the reflections here, all these clouds are mixing up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lower, you see this one, which is a lower layer with this guy here. I'm going to take my lasso tool and I'm going to, let me put it back into normal so you see what I'm doing. And I'm going to make a selection. Make sure that you don't get too close to the line here. I'm going to make a selection here. Okay. And then I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. I want to blur this guy like a value of 53, something like that. That's good. And so now, Command D to undo my selection. I'm going to put this one back into multiply. And already it's looking much more natural but it's still a little too much. So what I usually do is, now that I have a group here with my sky replacement, I can lower a little bit, maybe just 10%. It just makes it a little more natural. And then I'm going to click here to make a mask on the group. So it's going to affect both layers at the same time. Okay? And remember, white reveals, black conceals. White reveals, black conceals. So I'm going to take black as a foreground color, mesdames et messieurs. I'm going to take a brush. Okay? And I'm going to put the opacity of my brush at 20%. Okay? Meaning that when I'm going to brush, because it's not completely black, it's light gray, it's not going to erase completely what's on that layer. And what's on that layer is my new sky. So if I brush here, I can just take away a little bit of that new sky and just bring back the natural. I still leave some kind of the shades here because they do help the photo. And well, just a little bit is enough, you know. And it make you can make really cool dodge and burn. All right, before, after. Now, one thing that bothers me is that old sky is passing through. So remember, the way the multiply mode works is anything which is white, you know, is basically going to become transparent. So we have some here, it's white here, but it's not white there. So I can just click on that background, take the same brush, make sure my opacity is 100%, maybe make it a bit slower. Remember, it's Control and Alt to make it smaller. Okay, make sure white is my foreground color, and I can just paint some white here to take out the old sky. Okay, and then I just put that back, and boom, I got the new sky. So let me show it to you again. Before, after. There's a little bit of dark corner there. So brush. Make sure the opacity is at 20% when you do that. Oops, sorry. Alt and Control. And I'm just going to brush here. I don't want too dark corners here. Something like this. And voila. So I'm mixing up. Look at that. That is kind of more nice. This is the before. This is the after. One of the most requested things I get a lot is how to change the background of a portrait. For example, how to take this lady that was shot in a studio. This is a raw file. So, and I'm also going to show you how to work with smart objects. So I'm going to click here, click on this little ink because I'm in Camera Raw now. And I'm just going to click here on Open in Photoshop as a smart object. When you double click from Bridge on a raw object, it's going to open Camera Raw, which would take like another 2 hours of tutorials to show you all the options. I'm just going to make it simple. So I'm going to open the object. So now I have an object that's open in Photoshop. Okay, I'm going to remove that. And I want to change the background. I want to put her on a different background. I'm going to go back to Bridge and I'm going to double click on this background. Okay, I want to put her over this background. Now that I've opened the background, I'm going to take the Move tool and I'm going to drag and drop this file over the tab of the background and drop it. So first I'm going to zoom out. So I'm going to press Z for zoom or click on the zoom here. Press the hold on the Alt key and zoom out. And then I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and I'm going to hold on the Alt and the Shift key. When I move this, it's going to make her smaller, but well, in good proportion. Yeah, and I want to put her there. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, we have this amazing tool here called the Quick Selection tool. So as any tool, you can use the Control and Alt key to make it bigger or smaller. So I'm just going to go over her body really fast and just select everything. I'm just making like a very quick selection for now. Now I'm going to press Z and zoom in. W to go back on my quick select tool. It's a little tricky with the fingers. I'm just going to make sure I'm good on the fingers. And you see now I can zoom in even more. I have here some gray that I don't want. W to get back. Now if you hold on the Alt key, the quick select tool is going to become an eraser. It erases the selection. So I can do that and it's going to try to, so I press Alt when I'm on the gray and I don't press anything when I'm on the fingers. And you want to be as precise as you can, but we will be using a tool that's going to help refine all this. Okay, here this is all selected, so I'm going to hold on the Alt key and click here and it's going to unselect it. Voila. So we still have a lot of things to do because she really is not super well selected. Okay, and because it's a smart object, one thing you can do to help you make a selection is you can double click on the file and it's going to open Camera Raw, okay? And I can boost the contrast a lot and boost the clarity a lot, which is ugly for her, but it's going to help me do the selection. So it's just going to help the select tool do a better job. So I'm back with the select tool, and now we have a stronger contrast, so you should be able to figure out what's the skin, what's not the skin. There's so many ways to do this. Like anything in Photoshop, there is so many ways. And if you've got a better way to do things, feel free to leave a comment. This is just a little introduction for people which are afraid of using Photoshop. Okay, now I got a basic selection here. Now I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go back W on the quick select tool. Click here on select and mask. Now select and mask is a new option in Photoshop CC 2017. And you can see here there is different options. The one I like to do is you can do, you know, like on white, you can do on black. I like to do on layers because remember my layer is already there. So I can see what she looks like when she is in the photo. Okay, and then I'm going to take the second tool. And that second tool is amazing to pick up hair and things like this. Look at this. I'm just going to brush around here and it's going to pick up the hairs really good. And wherever there is some issue, like in the hands or something, it can pick up things. And voila. Okay. We still have some patch up to do here, but I'll show you how to patch things up later on. We have a little bit here of a white fringe around her body. So what you can do here is you can go into the edge detection and do a little radius like of 2 pixels. And it's going to try to improve. Look at it, took care of most of the edge. And sometimes what I do is I smooth a little bit the selection and I go to shift edge. If you go to shift edge and you go on the left, it's going to take out completely. But don't do it too much, you see, because I lost some of the hair. So I'm going to put it back here. We really got some issue with his hairs here. But that's okay. I'll show you how to correct that. But it's already looking much better. It's already much more there. Okay, so once you've done that, there's so much you can do with that tool. We have some problems here, we have some problems there, and a little bit here. Let's see if that tool is going to do. Yeah, that helped a little bit. Okay, I'm going to click on OK. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here on the mask tool, and now I got a mask. Okay, so but a mask can be, remember the mask white reveals, black conceals. If I click on the alt, I can see the mask is here, and we can see there's some issue here. So you can take a brush, a little brush, make it very small, zoom in a lot. Usually what I do with the brush is I take a brush that has a hardness of about 70%. And that's kind of small. I make sure that white is my foreground color and that I'm 100%. And I'm just going to paint here to bring back completely. So what you can do is just click here and follow. Sorry, Command Z if you do something. You hold on the shift key and you just follow the finger there until it's good. Okay, and if you slip over, if you go too far, like I did here, you can go reverse. You can press X, use the shift key, and you just follow the lines here. You're better off, you know, cutting a little bit into the skin, just 1 pixel into the skin, than having a little white fringe. So you can make this smaller. I usually go, 400%, that's the maximum that I go to. You can make this very small, and you hold down the shift key while you do that with the brush, and you just make your selection really cool. You see we got some issue with the hairs here. Well, they're transparent, but I want to bring back some more. So what I usually do when it's like this, I go white, I lower the opacity like 20% on hairs, and I just brush a little bit here to bring back some of the hairs, and you just go around, see some things missing here, and voila. It's not that hard, really. It's just a matter of practice. You can do it a couple of times, and boom, she is in the shot. Jessica is in the house. So now I can double click, go back to Camera Raw, take my contrast down a little bit, and I can do, you know, I can retouch this. I can see there's a lot of magenta, so I can add some magenta just to make it fit in terms of colors. I can, you know, open up a bit the shadows and click OK, and I can make her fit in the scene with the colors, you know. Okay, she's still too bright and too colorful, so I can double click, and I'm gonna make her darker, and I'm gonna take out some saturation, and click OK, and you just go back and forth until you feel, you know, she feels in the shot, you know. I see still the highlights are still too bright on this one, so I'm gonna lower a little bit the highlights, maybe make her a little darker again, lower again the saturation, add a bit of magenta, add a bit of yellow, you know, you just go back and forth until it matches better. Okay, now we are almost there. It's some of the mood, you know. It's really useful to work with a smart object because you can really develop the raw file so that it really matches your coloring. I think I'm gonna go even more crazy on the yellow and on the magenta, and lower the highlights even more, lower the exposure even more, because it's a bit of a night scene, you know. And yeah, well, I think she's more there. And you see there's a little white here, so I want to add some light to make her feel more in the shot. So a little trick is I'm going to double click here on this light for Jessica. Okay, I'm going to go and take the move tool, drag and drop it here. All right, so now you see it's over this. Now, one really cool thing in Photoshop is blending modes, okay? One cool blending modes when you want to add light, when you have light like this, you can just go to screen mode and boom. You see now, this is in the shot and it illuminates the entire photo. So adding a light on top of her is going to make it more believe she's in the shot. You see? It's a little trick to just make the composite work much better. I would do a lot more in this photo. I would, you know, clean up her face completely, make it more of a movie poster. That's what I would do. But it's just a little trick to show you how you can composite image together. You know, as quick technique that I want to show you is how to add letters type to your composition or your photo. So I'm going to press T for the text tool, which is here. I'm going to click here once. Now I got a big cursor, and you can choose the color. So I'm going to take a color, maybe like a black, but with a little bit of brown in it. Okay, and I'm going to type, I'm going to choose the font. So I'm going to go, you can see here, now that's a new option in Photoshop CC. You can see different things. I'm going to use a sans serif type to start with, like Arial Narrow. Okay, and I'm going to type, for example, Paris. All right, and then I'm going to click, because I want to make a special cool title. So maybe, you know what, I don't like the color. I think I'm going to add more brown to it. So you can just click here on the color and add a bit more brown. Yeah, something like this. All right. So now I got Paris, and then I want to do a little cool title effect for my friend Jessica. So I'm going to press T again, and I'm going to write, I've actually pasted Jessica Morris, that's her name. Now I want to make this smaller, so I'm going to take this. And the one cool thing is you can just click here on the double T's here, and you click with your mouse and you can make the fonts bigger or smaller. I want to make this much smaller, something like this. But I want to make a cool effect. I want the text to be smaller but take the same size of Paris. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and with my right arrow, I'm going to make the text about the size of Jessica Morris. Okay, I can make this here. And, you know, voila. Now, I want to do something more cool for Paris. So I'm going to take T again. I'm going to reselect my text here. And I'm going to go here. And this time, in filter, I'm going to use decorative. And I'm going to go for hobo. Hobo is a type of, you know, Art Deco type of font that you find a lot in Paris, in the Metropolitan. It's that font was used a lot in Paris in the early 19th century, which I don't know exactly how. But okay, I'm going to click here on Jessica Morris and make maybe just select it and make it a little bit bigger. So two ways to make the character bigger. You hold on the Alt key and you move the right or left cursor arrow on your keyboard, or you can click here and you have this character here, and you have this option called VA. All right, and VS, so if I go right, I can make this smaller or bigger. Voila, there's a little bit of a lag. So you want to make this a bit the size of her name. So it's very thin and very cool. Jessica Morris in Paris. Okay, maybe it's a little too much. So I can hold on. I can just do it with the Alt key on my keyboard. And voila. So sometimes it's cool to use two fonts, one for the big title, one for a smaller one. And voila, so that's the quick fix, the quick tricks I wanted to show you. It's just a little introduction to Photoshop. I hope, it makes the software a bit less intimidating, because it's really not. You got to dive into it, play around with it, and have fun. Mesdames et messieurs, I will see you in another tutorial.